Another week, another meta analysis, and Champions meta has actually moved way more than I would have predicted in these last few days. Now, the first one's not that surprising, but we really have to talk about it. The current king of champions is Basculegion. If you recall, day one, everyone basically agreed, alright, Insyn, king of VGC, always has been, best mon ever, awesome. Few days later, let's say like 1 week into the meta, everyone figured out actually Sneasler is the king, and it then overtook Insyn in the usage stats even. Right now, Basculegion has not yet hit number 1 in the usage stats, but if you look at the conversion rates, this mon is king. Last week it was still kind of sharing that throne with King Gambit, both mons being on some of the best teams and dominating. But this time, just look at the Victory Road Tour. Again, a giant tour with some of the best players all entering for cash prizes. Day 1, it was on 46% of the teams, which is a huge amount. That is the type of numbers that Insyn historically have put in various formats, the type of numbers we've seen Urshifudu, Fluttermane. But then day 2, the conversion, we see 62% of teams having Basculegion. And then into the top cut, almost every team in top cut had a Basculegion. And this isn't just Victory Road, by the way. I also checked the biggest Limitless tours, and Basculegion has not stopped dominating. Now, what's extra interesting is that it's no longer just the Choice Scarf set either. Day 1, everybody kind of already knew that adaptability Choice Scarf Basculegion with Wave Crash, Aqua Jet, Last Respects, and Flip Turn was going to be a big deal. This was also the set that it already had done very well with in past formats like Regulation H. But a big number of Basculegion in this latest VR top cut were actually running Focus Sash. And this set isn't that new either. I remember Chupa Cross actually doing incredibly well in a Reg H tournament last year with the set Liquidation, Last Respects, Aqua Jet Protect on a Focus Sash Basculegion. Of course, these do require different teams. Choice Scarf Basculegion can kind of dominate on its own. You know, you lead it, it flip turns into something else, and then in the end game it's just Last Respect sweeping, being faster than everything else. Whereas the Focus Sash Basculegion allows you to stick around a little longer. It's not just getting destroyed by a single Kowtow cleave. You can keep this mon for the end game, especially because your opponent is going to have to hit it twice in order to take it down, which is really useful. But the fact that it doesn't get completely pinned by a Black Glass as King Gambit is just incredible. And so depending on the team, we are seeing the Sash Basculegion also doing incredibly well. Now the next rising star is Mega Aerodactyl. Now this trend requires a little explaining, because a few weeks ago we first saw the trend of regular Aerodactyl taking over. People wanted very fast Tailwind, they wanted to dual wing beat Sneaslers, and they wanted to click Rock Slide against Charizard Y. Aerodactyl overall is relatively frail, and so people figured, let's play Focus Sash. You know, historically very frail fast mons use a Focus Sash so they can at least get 2 attacks in, or at least need to be doubled in order to be taken down. But then something funny happened. It turns out that Champions does not have a lot of items. And so you can kind of afford to put Mega Stones on certain mons to then put the very good item somewhere else. Beyond that, Mega Aerodactyl is also unholy fast, and regular Aerodactyl doesn't necessarily always go down to Sash either. I mean, if it gets Wave Crashed by Bask, it will, sure. But if you can position it into something that's not Bask, your Aerodactyl could actually live. And so if you put a Mega Stone on this Aerodactyl, you can put your Sash on something like Basculegion, and maybe for a particular matchup you're not megaing your other Mega, suddenly you have a way stronger Aerodactyl. And perhaps most importantly, remember when I mentioned you kind of wanted Focus Sash because then you don't die from a Wave Crash from Basculegion? Well, it turns out that Mega Aerodactyl is actually faster than the fastest Choice Scarf Basculegion. So if you were afraid of getting Wave Crashed before getting your Tailwind up, if you Mega this Aerodactyl, you will always get Tailwind up before it can move anyway, assuming you are jolly. And so if you check the top cut of Victory Road right now, where Mega Aerodactyl was somewhat of a niche pick the past few weeks, we actually see 6 Mega Aerodactyl in this asymmetrical top cut of 11 players. Over half the teams have a Mega Aerodactyl. And again, I'm not only looking at Victory Road, I also checked Limitless tours, and here you have another very high placing Mega Aerodactyl on a Rain team in the big Brazilian tour. Another rising star is Mega Villain. Now don't get me wrong, we've already spoken about Mega Villain in the past, but it was mostly niche, you know, it did well here and there. But in this VR, once again, it has been placing extremely well, and look at this conversion rate. While it only saw play 10% of teams on day 1. 1 in 4 day 2 teams actually had a Mega Scovillain on there. We've spoken about the reasons before, you know, we just have a very physical format, and so being able to burn things like Basculegion, King Gambit, Sneasler, and so many others is just very, very strong right now. And now this next rising star is you if you subscribe today. We're doing weekly meta analysis, and so you want to be subscribed for that. Also, at 4,000 subscribers, I will be eating an Aerodactyl live on stream, so click that button. Instead of talking about just Mons though, I really wanted to highlight this particular team. We see a Charizard Y, which is of course one of the best megas, and we've known that for a little while, but we also see a Sylveon, an Aegislash, a Mega Aerodactyl, a Sash Basculegion, and a Garchomp. Now, a bunch of these mons are known to be good, but the fact that we see a Sylveon, we see the new Mega Aerodactyl trend, and, maybe most importantly, the fact that 3 players in the asymmetrical top cut of 11 players were running this team, all Italians by the way, and then close to top cut we had more Italians doing extremely well with this team, means there's a particular playgroup who decided this is the fix for the format right now, and they just dominated. And once again, it wasn't just a victory road. On Limitless, we also saw a very similar iteration of the team where there was a Scovillain instead of a Charizard, but all the other mons seem to remain intact. I think Sylveon of all mons doing so good again is just really cool to see. Of course, being a fairy type is good, Pixelate is an amazing ability, and not having to click Mega like on Floette, though honestly, you don't really need to Mega Floette. If you remember the Grand Champions Festival, the winner Ragav actually was running Floette and it didn't have to Mega, but still, you know, you basically have like a non-Mega Floette here, maybe a little more consistent than non-Mega Floette, which then allows you to bring your Charizard Y even more. Next, I just wanted to highlight balance isn't dead, because if you look at the top cut of this victory road in particular, there were only 2 Mega Floette, I'm pretty sure, in the asymmetrical top cut. Very different from the numbers we've been seeing in the festival the week before, but there were still 2 balancey Floette teams at least. You can see them right here. We have like with the Incin and the Milotic, the Venusaur, the Floette, and then another one we have like the Charizard X setup with a more offensive Floette that can just click Light of Ruin, together with Sinistcha and actually Tauros. And actually Tauros as well. I'm really interested in this Tauros. In early regulation age, we also saw Tauros used as the Intimidator. I definitely think it's cool because you can like close combat other King Gambits, and you also resist the water moves from Basculegion, which is not something Incin can say. I do wonder if we'll see more Tauros. Next, rain is still real. For the past few weeks, people have been talking about the fact that rain is kind of the weakest weather, and that's still somewhat true. You don't have a Mega with Drizzle. I wanted to highlight that historically, actually, rain is one of the best weathers. It's just that this meta, it might not be. But still, we saw 3 rains topping the VR. And if you look at the conversion rate, Arch, 12% day 1, but 21% day 2. Pelipper, 12% day 1, but 17% day 2. So rain is very much still real. Just wondering why it was slightly more down low and slightly higher now again. Is it because like Floette numbers were slightly lower now, so your Arch isn't as afraid of getting moonblasted to sleep? Because if the meta is very physical, of course Arch is feeling great because you get those stamina buffs, you don't really die anymore. Then you have leftovers on this because all the Arch have been playing leftovers. You can like heal up a little, protect, heal up some more. Another cool trend to have a look at, which isn't completely new but is definitely solidifying, is the rise of multi-mega teams. Now again, past weeks we've already seen multiple megas on many teams, but this time in the Victory Road Tour, every single top cut team had 2 megas. Every single one. Not a single exception. This shows a very important trend, and that's the fact that we do not have enough items in Champions. So if you can afford to run 2 different megas that can be brought in different matchups, that makes your team less one-dimensional. It's not like, oh, I only have Mega Floette, but my opponent has 7 Mega Floette answers. Now I'm playing without a Mega and I'm at this huge disadvantage. No, you don't really have many good items anyway, so you might as well run a Mon that's probably pretty good without its Mega, but then gets way better with its Mega. We see this a lot with the Aerodactyls. We also see this with the winning team running Tyranitar. We also see this with kind of Floette, and you could even argue the same for Scizor. These are all mons that are still pretty damn solid without their Mega, and so depending on the matchup, you might bring them without Megaing them. And on the other hand, if you can't bring it to the matchup without Megaing, you still have 5 other really good mons anyway. But at least having the different Mega options ensures that there's more matchups where you can play a full power team rather than a Mega-less team. So yeah, if you're team building right now and you only have 1 Mega on your team and you feel like, sometimes I'm just playing without a Mega, it feels so bad, consider running a second. It does seem to be the way to go currently. Finally, for a Replica, this team created by DEIVVGC managed to top cut yet again. So I just wanted to highlight it again. It's the Scovillain with the Komo and the Mega Aerodactyl. Again, still putting in work. Also a Citrus Basculegion, interestingly. Now, Fedecampo did share their GC team, which includes 5 of the same mons as that team the entire Italian gang ran in the VR and did so well with. It's just that the final slot, the Aegislash slot in the VR, is Ariados on this version of the team. So you can actually recreate a team, at least 5 of the 6 mons, and then just the Ariados you have to swap the Aegislash for, and then you basically have the same team. And I just want to highlight, I made this anti-meta video mentioning how Ariados might be a good anti-meta pick, and here we go. We have an international champion actually repping Ariados in the GC. But beyond that, I haven't really seen Replica teams yet. I'm wondering if some people are keeping their teams secret because Indianapolis is coming up. I'm not sure, but regardless, if you want to copy teams, you can watch my EV training guide. You can basically go to Victory Road, link is in the description, copy a team from there, and then use this guide to EV them yourself. But more importantly than that, of course, subscribe, and I will see you soon. Ciao.